The Hearts of Gold podcast is brought to you by the Grow and Share Network, produced by Off the Walter Media Productions.
Welcome to Hearts of Gold. Today we have Sia with us. Hi, Sia.
Hi. So nice to be here.
Thank you for coming. Can you tell us about your Girl Scout Gold Award project?
I founded the global initiative called Project Enable, and I did it with a goal in mind to increase autism awareness by leveraging technology and really creating inclusive communities. And I used three main principles. I wanted to educate, I wanted to, of course, foster inclusion and also foster a sense of acceptance. And the project, by doing that, really fosters an inclusive environment for all that are part of it. And just as a little bit of background, the root cause of my issue is a bias or a taboo towards individuals that are on the spectrum, the autism spectrum. And it can be traced down to the fact that there really aren't substantial resources on autism that are available to those who are not on the spectrum. So many times, children on the spectrum are pushed aside. They're not approached by their peers in social settings, such as schools and playgrounds, and I've seen this firsthand. I addressed the root cause of this issue by targeting a portion of society which was being overlooked in terms of being educated. And I identified that crucial group as children that are not on the spectrum, because I really think that they can be the roots of change and actually enablers of change themselves. So what I did is I created a few resources. They included a really fun interactive online game, informational brochures, and also an animated video. And I went to different schools and different youth groups, and I just presented these resources to them. And they really loved it. The feedback was incredible. And I began observing friend groups growing, and I started seeing smiles, from cheek to cheek. People were just really excited. And through my experiences, I actually brought together an incredible team of child behavioral psychologists, pediatricians, school district officials, and also parents of special needs kids who really all brought their own perspectives to the table. And I'm so grateful for all of their insight. So far, Project Enable has touched 52,000 lives all over the world, in countries such as the United States, India, and Canada. So I am extremely proud of its impact, and I just can't wait to continue creating inclusive communities.
You talked a little bit about your team and the specialists that you were able to incorporate. When you look at the website, you really found a lot of those people. How did you make those connections?
It started with the idea, to start building this group of people that, like I said, all had these different perspectives. And I started using my connections to really build that network of people. So my school district that I attend has always been very inclusive. Ever since I was in kindergarten, we always had the theme of inclusion and kindness plastered all around the walls of our schools. So that was always ingrained in me. And when I started going to other countries, when I started traveling as I got older, I realized that this really wasn't an ideal that was everywhere. So like I said, I started using my connections. I started looking up people around me that could help. I started volunteering at a camp for special needs kids. And this is where I met a lot of the parents of these kids. And just hearing about their stories really opened my eyes to things that I hadn't heard before, or even people that I hadn't met before. And I got to really share in their experience. And I learned a lot about their stories. So that was how I met parents. For school district officials, I literally just reached out to them. I did a lot of cold emailing, and got, fortunately got some meetings with these very, highly regarded people. So that's one piece of advice I would give, is to just, reach out to as many people as you can, because you never know, who's going to get back to you and the impact that it can have.
I appreciate the description of your root cause. How did you come to determining that this was the topic that you wanted to do your Gold Award project on?
The reason for starting this project was rather unfamiliar. It was very unknown. It actually started with a trip to India. I have been going there. I have been vacationing to my grandma's house basically every summer. Because of COVID, obviously things have changed. But I began visiting India during the summers, and I made friends with the girl who lived next door to my grandmother. And she was my age, so we got along really well. However, there was this rule that we could only play at my grandmother's house. We really couldn't go inside her house at all. And I found out the reason for this rule just 2 years ago, actually. My friend's brother had autism. So he was not allowed to leave their house at all because his parents were afraid that he would be harassed, abused, and mistreated. And I was utterly shocked, and I never wanted another kid to feel that way again. So almost instinctively, I knew that I had to be an advocate for children that are on the spectrum to really eradicate the stigmas about them. So that's really when I started to assemble that team of people that all brought their personal viewpoints. And I wanted to get that global perspective as well, because, like I said, in countries all around the world, there are taboos surrounding autism that really need to be, reevaluated. Um, and one moment while completing the project, actually, that I'll never forget, happened while I was implementing the project at a school in New Jersey. One of the young girls in the audience, whose older sister was actually on the spectrum, she came up to me afterwards. She just pulled me aside, and she just looked at me with wide eyes and she whispered, "Thank you." You know, for the first time, she felt that her voice, her sister's voice, was really heard. And that result was a full circle moment for me, because I realized that what I had initially set out to do, which was act as an advocate for my friend's brother in India, was having an impact halfway across the world in my own community. So the project was really enabling change. So children were no longer looked at, those that were on the spectrum, but they were really being seen.
What was a challenge you had during your project and how did you overcome it?
I actually dealt with a lot of challenges completing this project. Halfway through the project, I experienced a challenge that people all around the world did, and that was COVID-19. That's the major one that I can think of. And as soon as that hit, I started thinking of ways that I could, reform the project in a way that I could still have as much of an impact as I wanted to initially. So it made me rethink how I would be able to get this project in the hands of as many children as possible. So I transitioned to a virtual learning format. And I actually look at that in hindsight, and I see that as such a great thing that happened, because now all of Project Enable's resources are available at the click of a button. And they're all on our website, they're all available. So I see that as a major win. And some other minor obstacles that I faced included, time zone differences overseas when I had to have calls with people that were, located all over the world. And also just breaking through these fixed mindsets about autism. I would have to talk to people that really maybe didn't believe in the impact, but I got through to them, and I was able to present at their school. So that was pretty amazing. But all in all, I just like to think that these challenges were just detours, and they led me to my final destination. So even though it was hard to initially go through them, I'm very grateful.
For younger girls that are listening that are considering to work on their silver or their gold, what encouragement do you have to give them? What tips or tricks would be helpful?
There were so many times, like I was saying, that I was talking to these school district officials, these lawmakers, people really in positions of power. And it was the confidence to continue that really kept me going, because I had my end goal in mind. And when I had those moments, especially with those challenges that I talked about, it was seeing the reactions of the children that I spoke to that inspired me. And so I think that Girl Scouts should go for their silver and their gold award, because at the end of the day, it's not really just, a shiny pin or, to put on your sash or on your vest. It's really the journey that you keep with you even after you get that award. And personally, the Gold Award showed me that I had the potential to change the world. All I really needed was an idea and the drive to make it happen. So I know that everyone listening has an idea, and I know that everyone has the potential. So really just go for it, because you never know what could happen. You could end up on a podcast like this sharing your ideas. And yeah, you really can just unleash your power. You just have to take that first step.
Can you share with us what your Silver Award project was?
For my Silver Award, I actually made blankets for children in the neonatal intensive care unit at St. Barnabas Medical Center in New Jersey. And that was an incredible experience in itself, because I actually got to go to the hospital to deliver these blankets. And along with the blankets, we also made care baskets with different essentials that these babies needed and also that their families needed. And I got to talk to some of the parents of the children that were in the NICU. And again, just hearing these stories and meeting new people was probably the most memorable part of that experience. And just seeing their faces light up after, they had received our, tokens of appreciation. It was just really rewarding and gratifying that our work was making a difference. And, those late nights and everything that we had spent, me and a couple other girls in my troop for our silver award, it really just made us feel like what we did was worth it. And that gave me the drive to continue with my gold award. So definitely try for your silver award, because it is it will spark that fire for your gold for sure.
You didn't join Girl Scouts until 6th grade. Can you tell us what that transition was like for you?
I actually joined Girl Scouts because of a trip to a grocery store. So all of these experiences were rather uncommon for me, but I think everything happens for a reason. So, we were going to a grocery store, me and my mom, and I saw a group of girls in the front selling, the world's best cookies. And I saw them answering these questions, and they were the same age as me. They were answering questions from these parents, so confidently and so aware in what they were doing. And I wanted to be just like them. I was so, I was absorbing everything they said like a sponge. So the next day, my mom and I sat and we researched how I could be involved in Girl Scouts myself. Luckily, there was a troop in our area, and those girls became like sisters to me. I still talk to them. And so the way that I joined was rather, not that common, but I'm so glad for that experience. And yeah, I did join a little bit later than most girls, but I really think that there's never really a good time to join. There's really never a bad time, because it's always, no matter what age you join at, there's always something that Girl Scouts offers you and that you can give back to Girl Scouts. So everyone that you meet, the experiences that you'll have, the memories that you'll take with you, no matter what age you are, I promise you they will be so rewarding and worth it. So again, just go for it. Just join a troop and see what happens. You might just make these lifelong connections that you'll really cherish.
Do you have any other Girl Scout experiences you'd like to share?
I went camping at, local camp named Lake Rickabear in New Jersey. And it was there that I, did some archery. I took photos of, nature. And so that was really a time to just unwind with my troop and just get to know them better at a more face-to-face level. And outside of these projects where, you're helping the community, I think it's just as important to get to know the people that you're working with to improve the community. And so we strengthened our connections. A lot of us had only met a few months before joining the troop. So I really feel that those little experiences, as small as they seemed, were one of the biggest parts of my Girl Scouts experience, because I got to know them, like I said, like sisters. And we still talk to this day. So just those little things, making s'mores at night at camp, and making cards for veterans overseas. Those were just some I can think of. So those were some experiences I've had in Girl Scouts, and I loved every one of them.
In addition to Girl Scouts, you're also involved in another large organization. Is it called HOSA?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell us about HOSA?
HOSA, Future Health Professionals, is a club that helps students that are interested in healthcare get a really hands-on exposure to the health field. So for those that are unaware, I am actually aspiring to become a doctor. I want to go into the medical field to give back to these communities that have helped me become who I am today. So that's why I'm so involved in HOSA. And I actually went in my freshman year, not knowing anyone as no one does in high school. You go in and you make these new friends. But I walked into that meeting a bit apprehensive, but I ended up liking the club so much that I actually ran for state office for HOSA and ended up winning as state secretary. So that was another incredible experience. We got to organize and lead these conferences of over 5,000 participants. And I also competed in a prepared speaking event, which I placed in. So that was great. I think just something that I took away from that, and also from Girl Scouts together, one common thread that they have is that I loved doing what I did in both of those activities. And I just put everything that I had into it. I put my head, heart, and hands into everything that I did. So if you like something, to everyone listening, just really put everything that you have into it and just go full on. Because like I said, it'll be worth it. And HOSA was like that to me. I also made a second family while I was there.
So what are your next steps after high school?
Right now is application season, so it's been pretty busy to say the least. But I plan to go to a undergraduate institution, hopefully on the pre-med track. And like I said, I want to join the medical field, and just give back to people in any way that I can. Here I was giving back and touching people's hearts by, in educating them on inclusivity and on autism, but I hope to do that medically as well and fix, people in a more scientific manner. So I really feel like these two parts of my personality, the part of me that wants to give back and the part of me that, just loves science, those two interests combined in the field of medicine. So that's where I want to go. And my work on Project Enable will never end, I don't think. Even in college, I plan to incorporate this into, incorporate this in any way that I can in any of my activities, by involving people and also implementing it in the community wherever I end up going to college.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience?
When youth take charge, I think change is inevitable. And so, like I said, really just go for it. Something that you're passionate about will most likely have an impact on people around you. So if you're interested in something, do your research and find people around you that care about the same thing, and educate them on how they can help. Because, as young people, we have the power to make a difference. You just need to really believe in yourself. And Girl Scouts helped me do that. And I'm forever grateful to them for giving me the foundation to allow me to believe in myself and then take my passion forward around the world. And that's not something that everybody can say. So I'm very happy to have been a part of it. I'm going to be a forever Girl Scout, and I encourage all of you to be as well. And another thing is that Project Enable also has something called the PEYA program. So it's called the Project Enabled Youth Ambassador Program, PEYA, and it encourages teenagers all around the world to use Project Enabled's resources wherever they are, all around the world, and implement Project Enable in their own communities. So it really puts the power in their hands. They can take what we've created and really put it out wherever they are. So if you're interested, please feel free to reach out. My email address is enableinclusion@gmail.com. That's the project's email address. So feel free. And I hope to stay in touch with anybody who's interested. But thank you so much for this opportunity. And I hope to hear from as many of you as possible.
And we will also have links in the show notes. How do you make your s'mores?
It's been a while since I made some s'mores, but I will now soon. So I actually make my s'mores pretty normally, quote unquote. But I do drink them with a glass of cold milk, and I thought that was pretty unique. So if you haven't tried that, I highly, highly recommend it. It's just the perfect blend, of hot and gooey marshmallow and cold milk. So definitely give it a shot if you haven't.
And the way I make my s'mores, that would be a very good idea because my chocolate is so melty by the time it gets to my mouth that I need that milk.
It's life-changing. It is life-changing.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure to click follow or subscribe so you always know when new episodes are released. And don't forget to power your passion and conquer your challenges.
The Hearts of Gold podcast is brought to you by the Grow and Share Network, produced by Off the Walter Media Productions. Thank you for listening and spreading the word on what we do. If you want to share your story of how you earned your Gold Award, reach out and send an email to growandsshare@outlook.com. Be sure to listen to the newest episodes on your favorite podcast app, as well as view the full video episodes on youtube.com/Cheryl M. Robinson. That's youtube.com/Cheryl, the letter M, Robinson. Take care, and we'll see you next time.